Hello, Internet folk, and in particular, hello to tabletop game players and to the TiddlyWiki community. A little update on my little game night scorekeeper. Since that last video, I've added a few more games that for which we can log scores, and I've done some mild cosmetic stuff here and there. So I figured I'd give you a tour of how things look like so far. You'll notice that there's a lot of TiddlyWiki stuff going on here. I'm a career software developer, systems analyst, programmer, whatever, and big fan of rapid application development, agile programming, and these catchphrases and like iterative development. Incremental development, you name it. And I'm in the stage now where I'm still working within the native TiddlyWiki interface, trying to flesh out the data domain, if you want to call it that, all of the things that I want to keep track of in this TiddlyWiki instance. And once I've added enough games in there to be satisfied that everything is working as I'd like, and haven't made any new discoveries of extra things I'd want in here, then I'll be at a stage where I can put a layer on top of TiddlyWiki, a user interface layer, that layer that is specialized for the particular task I have in mind here. Anyway, that's for later. For now, I'll show you what I've got. When you first bring up the scorekeeper, it brings up the Game Playthroughs Manager. And from here, we can add game sessions or game playthroughs. And you'll notice that my first video I had Jaipur set up. I've since added Grove, Catan, the dice game, and Wingspan. So, when we want to set up a scoring sheet for one of these games, so let's pretend that we want to add a game for Grove, right? A playthrough for Grove. It'll create what's called a tiddler for that particular game, and from there, we'll add some players, and that creates player tiddlers, and they're anonymous players until we finally select somebody. And you'll see that I've got myself set up, and I've got a pretend individual called Buck Rogers. So let's say that, Grove is a solo player, so I'm just going to pick myself. Once I've picked myself, great. I can close this tiddler, and now you'll see that I'm set up as a player for this game. And then I can put in the score. So let's say I played the game, and let's say I've got a few, if you know the game of Grove well, I've got some yellow dice, and let's say I've got, there's 4 plus 5, and then I've got some green dice, maybe a score of 4 plus 5 plus 10, and orange, same kind of deal. I add the all of the dice, whatever faces are showing on the dice. And if I'm lucky enough to have a wheelbarrow token on the game, that's worth 15 points. So if I say that I've got it, it adds 15 to my score. But if I've got the squirrel on the game board, then I lose 1 point for the squirrel, but I also lose 1 point for every die that is adjacent to that, adjacent horizontally or vertically. So let's say that I've got the squirrel token on there, and it's adjacent to 2 dice, so I lost 3 points, and there's my final score. And then I can find out, how fruitful I was in the game. So there's one example score sheet. And if the game was actually something that happened before April 1st, well, then it chose today's date by default, but I can go pick something else. So I can go back and let's say that's a game I played in March. And when I'm satisfied that this game has all the information in it that I want to have, I can choose to protect the information, so that way I can't change it by mistake. If I do want to make a change, I have to be very intentionally taking off the protection, making my edits, and saving it. So there's a kind of a rough look at what a game playthrough looks like. Now, in the manager, I've set up some links here, so that way, let's say the Grove game I played today, right? It's no longer in what's called the story river in TiddlyWiki, but if I want to get back to it, I can open her up and then look at it or edit it or whatever. And what I've done is that everywhere that I want a link to something, I've added that little paperclip icon, and you can tell that when you hover over the word and the paperclip, that it provides a link. In this particular case, if I click on Grove, it'll take me to the definition of the game. So some metadata to tell us, information about the game with some links, whatever. And the Tiddler also holds the score sheet for the game, so that whenever I set up a Grove playthrough, the playthrough Tiddler will know to show me the score sheet for the particular game related to that playthrough. And for any game, I can go find the player. So let's say Charlie. Right now, it's only got the first name or the nickname. And my convention is that any player Tiddler that we create in here, we give it a very short Tiddler title. And what I've decided to do is just use my initials, right, to keep that short. The reason for that is because when we take a look at the playthrough, you'll notice that when we take a look at the players, here we'll go take a look at the player Tiddler for that this Tiddler, which is a player Tiddler for that particular playthrough, that it's linked to my Tiddler, right? And if, let's say, that I made a mistake and it's not Charlie who played that game that night, but it was actually Buck Rogers, I'll undo Charlie and pick Buck Rogers instead, right? So now the game playthrough looks like it was for Buck Rogers instead of Charlie. And Buck Rogers, I gave him the acronym of, that acronym right there. YBR. I don't know YBR, but anyway. Can't remember why I chose that. Oh, I think that's before I decided to make this Buck Rogers. Anyway. And also, I've decided that every once in a while it's kind of worth putting some information that might be useful to explain what we're looking at. So I created this little symbol to let me know that if you hover over it, you'll get some information that lets us know that the orange diamond means a human player, and the blue diamond means an AI player. Okay. And if we go look at Wingspan, just for giggles, you'll see that's part of the information we can set up for any board game is an AI player, and there are some games that have more than one AI player. We don't have an example of that in the game playthroughs, but we've got some other manager tiddlers we can look at. And if we go take a look at the content, you'll see there's a games collection manager. And in this long list of games, most of which don't show up in the game playthroughs manager as an option because they don't have scorecards or score sheets set up for them yet. If we take a look at, let's say, a game like River Valley Glassworks, that game actually has 5 different AI players, as we can see here. And kind of going by gosh and by golly so far, trying to figure out what kind of attributes I want to keep for these games. And you'll notice that for every one of these, most of these games, I've got links to the BGG page. Why? Well, if I'm going to have the game there, I might as well have links to good information about the game that exists out there on the web. And what I've done is I've set up some YouTube playlists of videos related to each game. So, for example, Caesar, Siege Rome in 20 minutes. There are a whole bunch of great playthroughs out there on YouTube, and I've created playlists with all of the ones I've found particularly interesting, either reviews of the game or playthroughs. And anyway, so there's the Games Collection Manager. And then there's the Gaming Membership Manager. And eventually this will be a little bit more elaborate, but it's just about adding people. So whoever is in your gaming circle, friends, family, whatever, right? We want to add them here, so that way we're in the Game Playthroughs Manager, and we create a playthrough session for, let's say, Jaipur, that as we add some players for this game, we're going to add a player, and actually I'm going to add another player. We can go specify, who's the player in that game, based on whoever we set up in the gaming membership. So let's say we got me and we got Buck Rogers playing. If we close those guys and go back up, we'll see that now we're both set up as players for this game. And then we can go ahead and proceed, play the game, and then add the scores as we go along. In this particular game, through best 2 out of 3 rounds, we play our first round, put all the score in, get to see who won it, then play our second round, and off we go. Anyway, so there's a tour of the game, and a little bit of some early user interface type things I'm trying out with these paper clips and info buttons, right? And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to keep adding games to this, focus on making sure that all of this is working well before coming up with a interface that that kind of obfuscates the TiddlyWiki interface with a very simple, screen with just the features that matter for a Game Night Scorekeeper. Anyway, got a little wordy on that one. I didn't really have any plans, so I hope that was informative to you. I will be coming up with a technical video at some point that gets into the code for TiddlyWiki, so probably won't be of much interest to the board gamers out there, to the tabletop gamers. But anyway, on that note, cheers. You have a good night. If I can find the stop button for the video, we'll be all set. There, cheers.